A lot of Mario sports games always fail to grasp my interest. Mario Golf, just regular golf, but with Mario characters. Mario Tennis, pretty much the same story except with tennis. Mario Sluggers, yeah, the roster's incredible, but it's just baseball. None of these three games ever enticed me. They all use that same Life Blitz art style with sports that just don't tickle my fancy. They're not bad games per se, but taken from face value, they seem very boring and uninteresting. But what about Mario Strikers? Released in 2005, this game caught my attention immediately. From the second I heard about it and saw footage, I knew that this game and its sequel were games I had to play. It was just the energy, the art direction, the fast-paced and frantic gameplay. It seemed like everything I was looking for from a Mario-themed sports game and more. And for years, I was just so curious and eager to play these games. But lo and behold, I didn't have a GameCube yet, and I wasn't seeing Strikers charged anywhere in stores, so I could only ever admire these games from a distance. But as of recently, Mario Strikers Battle League just got announced, the series' comeback after a 15-year-long hiatus. So to use this as an excuse, I finally decided to pop the cherry and finally play these games, document my thoughts in the video you're about to watch. So let's stop wasting more of your valuable time and finally talk about Super Mario Strikers for the Nintendo GameCube. Now, I think it's important to mention that each of the Mario sports games would usually be developed by their own specific development teams, explaining why they were released so quickly after another. Golf and tennis would be handled by Camelot, baseball would be handled by Namco Bandai, and this game would be developed by newcomer
Next Level Games,
people whose only major experience in game development was NHL Hills Pro. So seeing this as not only an opportunity to add some much needed flair to these games, but to also provide a way for them to properly make a name for themselves, the game was made under them. And I gotta say, for a first attempt at a new series, they did a really good job. I say as I'm about to harshly criticize it. The content on display is a bit shallow, to be honest. For as great as the character roster is, all of these choices make total sense. There's simply just not enough characters to choose from. There are also some exclusions that make no sense. Where's P? Where's Diddy? Where's Bowser? Why is Bowser, the main bad guy of this franchise, relegated to a quote-unquote special event on the field? Given all these exclusions, the roster just doesn't feel complete, and for a Mario spin-off, that's very strange. Speaking of things that feel incomplete, the stages. There are only 7 of them, which is decent. When you look at the stadium select, yeah, it can feel a bit underwhelming. Heck, none of these stages even have any music, something that even the other Mario sports games gave us. But I don't know, they probably did this for the same reason as other sports games, to add a layer of immersion or atmosphere or some other stupid excuse. But you know what? That's about it for the criticism I have for this game. Things get a lot better from here. First off, the characters. I love them. While the roster is very weak, especially for 2005 standards, the characters themselves and how they're portrayed are all amazing. Every character in this game has their own distinct personality and traits. Mario's the energetic team captain, Luigi's the lovable goofball. This is the first instance of Daisy having that fun-loving and loud personality that everyone loves. Wario. Stop. Yoshi's still a bit. Donkey Kong is as rambunctious as ever. Luigi still needs to see a doctor. And the sassy attitude that they gave Peach for this game fits better than it has any right to. Now, all of these traits are great. However, Strikers go the extra mile in making itself distinct by making all these characters really mad for no reason. From as soon as your characters face off, they make it abundantly clear that they're prepared to tear their opponent's head off. The outright aggression that these characters show is the thing that these games are most remembered for, and for pretty good reason. It's jarring, it's a tiny bit weird, but man, I love it so much. Hell, we can even see this in the official art made for these games. The illustrations are very rough and dirty, almost comic book-like in a way. However, the art in Charged is where things get a lot more interesting. The dirtiness of the drawings gets further amplified, and they even have some visual effects when you hit the ball. Mario Strikers art style good, that's pretty much what this entire bit has been trying to say. But sure, the presentation's fantastic, but ultimately, the gameplay is what everyone is here for. So how's that? Well, admittedly, Strikers is your typical soccer game, but with Mario characters. But, hold on, hear me out. This game does a couple of things to make the gameplay stand out. The controls follow the same basic template as every other soccer game. A button to pass, a button to shoot, you can hold down that button to charge up your kick to do a more powerful shot, a button you can hold down to do an aerial pass to another teammate, and a button to run. All of these moves work and function perfectly, and they allow for strategic plays that feel really satisfying to properly pull off. Although doing an aerial pass is the more safer way of passing, doing a regular pass is oftentimes more quicker and more effective at juking, even though it's more vulnerable to getting stolen. Or maybe you could do an aerial pass and score immediately if you have good positioning. Whatever the scenario, scoring always feels rewarding, and I mean that somewhat literally too. Whenever you score or attempt to get a shot into the goal, you will be rewarded an item. So even if you're like me and are absolute dog wire at this game, it's always worth it to attempt to score so you can get an extra means of defense, or offense given the situation. Because of all this, the gameplay has a consistent flow and energy to it. There's barely a second that goes by where something isn't happening. Everything feels so dynamic and over the top, and the amount of spectacle on display even manages to give the actual gameplay itself personality. And nowhere is this more apparent than the most powerful move in the game, the Mega Strike. While charging up your shot, if you hold down the button for long enough, a bar will appear under your character, and with precise timing, you can perform an incredibly powerful shot that upon hitting it into the goal, will count as 2 points instead of 1. Now that sounds awesome, but keep in mind, with bad timing, the chances of the ball going to the goal decreases drastically, so you gotta make sure your timing's on point. And you know, I feel like this one move you can do in the game is the most accurate way to describe Mario Strikers as a whole. It's very loud and in your face, very visually captivating while still being fun and well designed. There's a lot at risk, and the game takes a lot of risks, but the reward is definitely worth it. Mario Strikers was an excellent first entry to a new series, and one that I can see myself going back to in the near future. But the team over on Next Level Games weren't done yet, and in 2007, one of the greatest Mario spin-offs of all time would be unleashed onto the world. My friends, this is Mario Strikers Charged for the Nintendo Wii. Gosh, it's still crazy to me that we got this game, Super Paper Mario, 2 Mario Party games, and Mario Galaxy all in the same year. Y'all were eating good back then. Now, Mario Strikers Charged is easily the fan favorite of the bunch, as a game that many people, myself included, associate with the Mario Strikers brand. And I think the intro cinematic makes it pretty clear as to why. This game makes it very explicit. This is Mario Strikers 2. It takes the aggressive nature and style of the original and one-ups it in almost every single way. And actually, that's how I'd sum up Mario Strikers Charged in general. It's a game that does absolutely nothing but one-up and add on to the ideas present in its predecessor. The roster of captains has been doubled, even throwing in some new characters like, oh, would you look at that, P.D., Bowser, and Diddy Kong. Knew they'd be in here. And on a similar topic, there are even some more sidekicks to choose from as well, all having unique attributes similar to last time. The stage count has been dramatically increased from 5 to 17, with 7 of them being returning stages from the first game, and most of them have unique gimmicks that effectively turn most of these stages into full-on battlefields. There's one where the stage constantly tilts back and forth, and another one where the stage eliminates members of your team after each goal via crystal energy. Yeah, that stage is weird. Also, a smaller thing to note, but the new stages feature actual music. They're feel-good tunes, nothing all that memorable, but hey, I at least actually have some music to pull from rather than just inserting from Transformed or Mega Man ZX or whatever other game I end up using. Ooh boy, that's a lot of content. Right off the bat, Strikers Charged proves to be a much more beefier experience than its older sister. But keep in mind, we still haven't gone to the absurd amount of mechanical improvements yet. So let's do that now. While running with the ball, you could do this defensive maneuver upon pressing the D-pad. Not exactly sure what you call it though. I personally don't use it that often, but it becomes very useful in crouch situations. Sidekicks now have the ability to do a special attack upon fully charging up their shot, and they're totally fair and don't break the game in any noticeable way whatsoever. Like in the first game, your captain could do a Mega Strike upon getting the ball. The UI has been changed to have more areas for where the player can activate it. And when you do activate, you're greeted with the most uncanny but equally stunning cutscene of your captain launching the ball towards the goal. And oh my god, do they look awesome! Look at Mario. Look at Daisy. Look at Wario. Did he just inflate himself? Yo, why? Why does Luigi have a whip? I don't like that. I really don't like that. Yeah, some of these are very weird, but it doesn't end there, as afterwards, you control the Kremlin goalie or are tasked with blocking the barrage of shots heading towards the goal. And yes, I did use the word barrage, as when you score with the Mega Strike, instead of counting as 2 goals, it can count as up to 6, depending on what area of the gauge you hit. And oh my god, this is genius. If you're skilled and coordinated enough, you can block all 6 of their shots and make their Mega Strike a complete waste. I love that. But by far the biggest change to the game comes in the form of passing. There's this mechanic where the ball will change its color when a player makes contact with it, charging it up. Y'all see what I did there? Now, depending on the color, the ball will travel faster when you shoot it, purple being the slowest, red being the second slowest, yellow being the second fastest, and white being the fastest. However, the thing that I find the most clever about this is that if you attempt to score and you miss or the goalie catches the ball, the charge won't go away. It'll actually give you another chance to score, but alternatively, it could also give your opponents a chance to steal the ball with it almost fully charged. The gameplay loop more than anything puts an emphasis on strategy this time around. Knowing who to pass to, when to pass to them, finding the most efficient way to charge up your ball and send it flying towards the goal. All of this provides a sense of satisfaction that the original simply didn't give you, and that paired with the stage hazards and items makes this one of the most insane and action-packed Mario games I could think of. But, real quick, I need to mention the animations in this game. I mean, the characters still aren't taking nothing from nobody, but they show a variety of different emotions in often very hilarious ways. You got more wholesome ones like Luigi congratulating his teammates, or Bowser clicking his metal fingers together, and yes, they did give him metal claws to play soccer for some reason. But then we have the ones where you lose, and these are absolute gold. Donkey Kong hides in shame, Mario does wherever the hell this is. Daisy taps her feet in utter rage towards her teammates, while Luigi flat out punches the camera, and Wario. My god. I mean, when he wins, he's very happy and cheery, but when he loses... Live and let die. Really pushing the age rating there, huh guys? But in all seriousness, while the animations aren't that much different compared to the original, hell, they even reuse a few, these still have so much more shocking and even funny moments. They're charming in a more memorable and impactful way. And if you want further evidence, just look at the cutscene that plays before every game, where one side has the opposing captain do a threatening gesture, or in Wario's case, murder, and the other side will have the captain enter the stadium in the most safest way possible. God, this game is awesome. Now, for as much as I've been praising this game, there's still a couple things I find that this game does a bit questionably. I feel like the controls are slightly more unorthodox than before. Like, in the original, sliding was mapped to the B button, the same button as shooting, which makes sense because they're both offensive actions. But here, sliding is now mapped to the D-pad, and I'm not entirely comfortable with that decision. I mean, I've adjusted, and I've never lost a game because of that, but I think that the change was ultimately unnecessary and kinda confusing for a first-time player. I also feel like in an attempt to make the game more engaging, it loses some of that fast-paced energy that the original game had. But those things are pretty easy to get past, and plus, those things can only take away so much from what I consider to be the perfect Mario sports game. Mario Strikers Charged is one of those games to where I'm kicking myself for missing out on it. I could see a younger average Joe pouring dozens upon dozens of hours into this game, and the gameplay is only half the reason. The other and more substantial half has to do with their signature charm and style. It's because of all the hilarious cutscenes, gorgeous cinematics, all the mega strikes, and just that signature energy and aura these games give off. Those are the things that still resonate with people almost 15 years later, and those are the exact things that drew me into these games. Both of these games are two of the best Mario spin-offs I've ever played, and in an area of the franchise that just didn't really catch my eye, these games opened my eyes on just how good a Mario sports game could truly be. But before I put an end to this retrospective, I quickly want to give my thoughts on Battle League, seeing as I finally have the first 2 games under my belt. And I gotta be honest, I'm a little bit worried. To start, the stadiums themselves don't really look to have much in terms of variety. The character roster is admittedly pretty small in comparison to Charged, with some very glaring omissions like Daisy, where is she? If anything, Strikers is the series that made her such a likable character in the first place, and the fact that she's absent is very weird. But although I am listing a lot of negatives, that's not to say that there's nothing cool about Battle League so far. I'm really fond of the customization features, giving your captain a new look while still making certain areas of play better, and they're also really goofy too. I mean, just look at DK, he looks so stupid, I love it. However, I must say that how they handled the Mega Strikes, Hyper Strikes, is genius. I feel like having an orb to do it instead of just charging it up balances everything out and makes it less exploitable, and the strikes themselves look gorgeous. That signature art style the first two games had is here in full effect. It makes the characters look just so damn cool. But for as awesome or lame as these features in this game look, one primary thing has been on my mind. Ever since Strikers Charge, Next Level has gone off to do some incredible stuff. But my fear is that no matter how good the actual game is that they'll fail to capitalize on the things that made these games so good in the first place. We can already see this with the stadiums and the roster, but my point is, 2007 was a long time ago. And for as impressive as the animation and Hyperstrikes are, I just hope that the charm that made these first two games so great will transfer over in some capacity. But after finally playing these games, well, because of this announcement, all I hope is that the new Mario Strikers feels like the new Mario Strikers. And given the team's track record, I know that at the very least, they're gonna come up with something great.